Are you guys ready to get out of the Matrix? Let's go.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Is one of multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
The Texas court system works, and I trust the Texas court system will work in this case.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Piss Off Parent Show. I have a special guest on this evening, Mr. Chuck, or the Big C, as he put in his little tagline there. Give everybody actually, you can give everybody a big shout out, and they can give you a big shout out. But yeah, welcome to the show. And the reason that we kind of got together was I know you've been very active in the equal shared parenting community, a number of different groups. You do a lot of posting, sharing, doing all the things that we would want people to do to get the word out. Unfortunately, it's not just academic for you, which is part of the reason why we have you on here tonight. You didn't wake up one day and decide, you know what, I want to get into equal shared parenting, and then decided to start dedicating way too much time of your day to getting stuff out there. So what I want to do, and again, for the folks that are out there, the show, and again, we're streaming to a number of different areas. People that may not be familiar with the content or what we're talking about here is the Pissed Off Parent Show is one where we primarily talk about equal shared parenting, custodial interference, and basically the laws and the issues that most of the time dads are having in seeing their kids with our judicial system, the way the laws are set up, the way families are being set up now. Or have been for a while, and we're wanting to talk about it and get people out there and to at least know what's going on and hopefully make a change. Unfortunately, Chuck here is no stranger to that, and which is again why we want to have him on here and basically have him tell his story. So for the folks that have questions, put those in the chat. We'll get to those questions as we kind of walk through this. But I guess starting out, Chuck, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Dwayne. Appreciate the introduction, and thanks for having me on. I'd just like to say that following you the past couple of years, I'm newer to the community over the last few years, and you do an amazing job just getting information out to people less fortunate. It's not a money grab for you. You're genuinely doing what you're doing to help others and to help other parents, and that's why I feel comfortable today coming on your platform, because you're not a mercenary. You're not trying to, get a buck in every which way. You just, you have a big heart, and you're trying to educate parents, men and women, that, these laws are serious, that are being pushed through legislation, and they're very biased, and we have to be very cognizant of who we share a companion as a companion. So especially as it involves children. So I just want to say specifically to the work you do with Pissed Off Parent, the advocacy work that you do within the community. It's been a real honor and a privilege to get to exchange some messages with you over the last year or so. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to
thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. If I had a heart, it would be 3 times bigger that size. I've been told I have no heart at times, but and I like to have a little bit of fun with this. Again, this is all in jest. It's the only way, for my therapy and the stuff I went through my entire life. I use inappropriate humor. That's my coping mechanism. Everyone has their own. That's my particular one. But again, thank you. Yeah, just for those that don't know, I've been involved involuntarily in the movement for a little bit over a decade. I'll be the first to admit, because I know some people are like, "What the heck's he doing back on?" I've had my challenges, being on and off, and now due to health reasons and a number of others, I try to do it for, and I know this is sick, but I do it for the fun reasons of it, not spending the 23 hours out of the day trying to do this or do that. So, but fair. I've seen your content, the messages and how you help out, and we definitely you're definitely a guy we need to have on here to basically tell your story. It is mentioned. You mentioned though that you are relatively new. I'm assuming it sounds like 3-4 years, which
right. So I saw kind of a gap just within where I live in the community, and so as I tried to find my way through it, writing legislation was something I tried, and I wasn't very. I mean, I worked policy and compliance with the United States Navy at a headquartered office, and I was skilled in writing policy. And I
Right.
thought maybe I could help with legislation. I tried some different other avenues within the movement, and I really found my niche with giving back on a food basis. So
Yeah.
there's different food banks and there's different distributions, and I actually happen to volunteer at those distribution centers. And I also collect food, and I've given out almost 650 meals over the last 6 months. And
Wow.
I do advocacy work. I'm not a licensed professional. I've never collected a single penny. I don't want anything.
Right.
Outright refuse. But the gap in the movement and me finding my way was trying to give back and I did that through food. And along the way, parents all across the country have reached out, just following. Hey, they just they're silent. They're whatever you call it when you're silenced. They're scared. They're terrified.
Right.
They would private message me, and little by little, I'm not a licensed attorney. This isn't legal advice.
Yeah.
But just sometimes listening to them, and I just found a home doing some advocacy work. And I'm not a licensed professional, but if I can lend just a listening ear, and as you know, Dwayne, this stuff takes a toll on you, and health wise, this can take a psychological toll. So thank you for coming back in and doing a live. And if I can help one person out there, whatever I can do, thank you for having me on. And I'm here to advocate for 50-50 shared parenting and for equal rights to children. And I believe every parent should have a right to access their child without state and government overreach.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We definitely should have our kids without the government meddling in. So when like being and I say recent, 3 to 4 years is a decent amount of time being involved in it. What was your idea, or did it even hit you that this type of stuff occurred like when you were younger or before you were unfortunately brought into the fold? What was your
Yeah, it was terrifying. I will tell you, having a father that was a high school principal of a Catholic high school, losing him to cancer, and 99% of my classmates in high school got a college degree, and 91% got a graduate degree. And coming from a state of power and elite status, I don't consider myself powerful. I don't consider myself an elite status. But my classmates, they came from, I think it was $10,000 a year to go to school for tuition back in 2000. So sorry, my camera is sorry. My high school was a private institution, a Catholic high school in New Hampshire. And I always followed the family dynamic. And I had a mom and dad. I had some troubles growing up,
didn't we all?
but overcoming that, I had no idea what the minefields of you learn family court isn't a court of law. It's a court of opinion. It's a court of it's a court of opinions. I mean, they don't follow law. They just don't. I mean, due process does not exist. So that was an eye opener that it's a court of equity. It's not a court of law, and it's
Right.
But then they write orders, but the orders cannot be lawful. It's just, and then you get appeals, and you're just learning that it doesn't make sense. And so that kind of, for me, opened my eyes. Like, I need to really take a step back here and just configure my brain and just completely start from scratch, because everything I had seen that I thought was real, if you harm someone with a weapon, then you go to jail.
Right. Matlock.
No, you don't. If you shake a child, you go to jail. Now, again, these are things that I did not do, and these are things that I've been proven that an opposing party did. And so when I walk into a courtroom and the opposing party says, yeah, I shook the baby, so what? Yeah, I stabbed him, who cares?
Right.
And affidavits are written and arrest warrants are written. Not to jump into the story, my mind's not able to process that.
Right. Yeah.
And then when you're taking children away from fit, willing, and able parents, constitutional law, we won't have a constitutional lesson today, but that's an area I've spent a lot of time in. And constitutional law would say otherwise. And then you learn how long it takes to get that constitutional law or that applicable law heard. And family court's not the place that gets heard. And that's where it gets sad. It's got to be heard in appellate court. It's got to be heard on appeal. It's just lawyers will not cite legal precedent.
They won't do their job that they were paid to do. So you had, just to give everybody, I guess, a primer, is you haven't seen your children outside for one event here, I believe it was in March. You've not seen them for over 1,300 days. I can't remember the exact number.
on day 1,247, I got a chance to go on with Robert Garza with Dad Talk, the support group, and he's like,
Okay.
this guy hung in there, and he got to see his kids.
Right.
It was in a supervised setting, and I'll leave the contents of that visit due to legal ongoing litigation.
Right.
But I would say that visit was something that I didn't anticipate.
Right.
The way that I'm not going to say custodial interference. I'm going to leave that alone, but just not
Right.
to allude, but to continue to potentially see custodial interference for the first time in 1,247 days back in March, after 81 court appearances, 109 reunification sessions, 118 EMDR sessions, and over 500 mindset coaching sessions. Thankfully, Sean Pearson from Dad to Dad what drove me, just because he wanted to be there and say,
Right.
hey, I want to make sure that Charlie's okay.
Right.
You know, it's the first time in 4 years he's going to see these kids, and we still have a problem. We still have a problem.
Still have an issue.
And even armed with a body camera and all of his experience, we still had a problem. And it's just like, how many custodial occurrences can you have before we're going to take action? And not to say about the 4 years, and I apologize if I'm going backwards. My first time ever doing reunification therapy, my son was punched with a closed fist in the mouth because I read him a story about Pete the Cat being brave. And I told him I was so proud of him. Mom thought the session was over, came in and clocked him right in the face and laid him out flat. Now, was that assault and battery? No. That was, I caused Mom duress to have her act that way following a reunification session. So that reunification was closed from that particular therapist because I caused duress.
Because it was your fault. Wow.
In a formalized setting through a video chat while I'm reading him a story about him being brave as the first time.
This is on a video chat.
Oh, this was on a video. So I'm sitting in a computer like this, just reading him a story.
Okay.
The doctor's on a video, and then the kid's on a video, and I'm just reading him a story, and Mom thought the video had ended, and just boom, right in the face. Laid him out. Wasn't assault and battery. It was the child's best interest for Dad not to be involved anymore.
Wow. Yeah, and Robert, he's made a comment earlier in the chat. That he's done a lot. He's unfortunately dealt with the false allegations, and of course done a lot in Texas. And as a Texan, we're happy that he's done it. But one thing I did want to say for everyone out there, I like to pride myself on being documentation, data, and all that. And when I got Chuck's documentation, he schooled me. There's no other way to put that. I mean, he's like, let me send you this Excel spreadsheet with tabs and hot links and a PowerPoint, and that's not even getting into what's actually in there, which blew my mind. I'm sitting there scrolling through the detailed notes, and you've definitely get the gold star.
To include a PowerPoint with actual visuals, I mean the PowerPoint hopefully helped too. That like this isn't in a spreadsheet. I can see court orders or an actual. I mean, like.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of good documentation.
I had a member of U.S. Congress. So one point during the story, not to get it all jumbled, but they just wanted to cancel culture, right? We cancel culture. We separate the dad, and the children goes to the mom. I actually have a letter from and rest his soul, a sitting member of the United States Congress, not a state legislator, not a state senator, a United States congressman, wrote the judge a letter and said, Judge, this guy cannot work. His eye socket was fractured. He's got issues with PTSD, anxiety, all the other things, gastrology, psychiatry, ophthalmology, just pick a field. And they all have medical letterheads. So the congressman took that and wrote a letter to the judge and said, Judge, you cannot incarcerate this person. Are you not reading his medical records? So a sitting member up in Congress has to write a letter to a judge because he's illiterate. I find that fascinating. Well, he's illiterate. Or I don't know. I mean, obviously we can't read because.
Personally, I've had to do stuff in literal crayon with judges for my case, and obviously what I've seen over the years has blown my mind. Let's go back. I guess I'm going to say to a happier time and just kind of bring everybody kind of like where you went from and where you're at today. So you were a young man. It sounds like you went in the military. Did you meet your significant other while you were in the military, or was it when you got
So,
out? Or
so my dad always taught me. He said career. He said education, career,
Mhm.
partner. If you do things in that order, you'll be successful. And I did everything up until the partner. So I actually worked in the sports industry. I
Okay,
was an account executive with the San Antonio Spurs right out of college, and then I took a
go
job with the
Spurs.
yeah, go Spurs go. They got Wemby. They got Wemby. I got Victor Wembanyama, the first overall pick, and yeah, I gotta love the Coyote. And I had a good time down there, and very diverse culture, amazing people down there. I loved being down there, and as I'm tracking, my father came across terminal cancer.
Oh,
So because I was actually NBA Rookie of the Year. I had brought in $1.6 million in revenue my first year out of college,
oh
and it
wow.
was actually the highest revenue generator in the entire NBA first year sales. And so not a front office position, but front office is like account executive, like you're
Right.
selling and things of
Mhm.
that nature. So I was the highest earner in 2004, which was kind of cool. And so I
Yeah.
got the reason why I bring that up is I could go back home to any of the sports teams. So
Right.
I found out my dad had terminal cancer up in New Hampshire where we live, and the Boston
Mhm.
Bruins employed me immediately. So I ended up going through there. I did that, and then my mom's company came in and said, we'd like to make you an offer. You have a lot of skills. They were in the defense industry, and they said we'd like to make you an offer.
Hmm.
And the offer was they were going to support financial incentives to obtain a master's degree
Oh
and to
wow.
learn the defense industry. So I came at the military from the avenue of as a government civilian. So that company, I worked in private industry for a couple years,
Mhm.
and the government, due to my skill sets, they actively started to recruit me, and that's how I joined the military at the age of 26.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
I came in as a contract specialist at Hanscom Air Force Base.
Oh, all
So
right.
and I did that. So while I'm going through that process, again the career, right? So education.
Mhm.
Now the company had now paid for the master's degree. The master's degree then qualified me for a government position, and
Right.
so now I'm tracking, right.
Right.
And then the partner, then that part kind of then we kind of
Yeah.
went off course there. And so thinking someone not using my brain, we talk a lot about the 5 cent conception you make at the store,
Mhm.
contraception. Yeah, it's a good thing, and I did that. The other party was looking to entrap, and went through that. And I had left it out, not thinking, like put it in a draw, and went through them all, and I didn't even realize was making modifications to the contraception.
Right.
And so,
Wow.
bam, there you go. And and then I got the word that this relationship, things weren't really working out. It was getting a little toxic, and I got the word that oh, by the way, the contraception didn't work. And I said it didn't add up. And I had seen in the track, I think Drake put hot sauce one time in his
Yeah.
contraception.
Yeah. Drake. Yeah. The
So
Drake method.
unfortunately, I didn't. I wasn't in tune 15 years prior to that
Well.
innovative philosophy. Uh,
Right.
so
Yeah. Well. I
so
mean, you're like, I need to put hot sauce into my
so
condom. To.
so
I mean, that's crazy to think about it, but
so
that's where we're at today. So, well,
so
you met this young lady, and she was intrigued by your physique, your
uh,
personality.
she wasn't intrigued by my Transformers. I
Okay.
didn't have any. I
Well.
didn't have any at the time. Unfortunately, I was light years behind you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You know,
so
we all can't have this. You know.
so we all can't have a museum.
Yeah.
So I'm going through that process, and I may have had another young lady friend or two. I'll keep that to myself.
Yeah.
And thankfully, the other young ladies, that contraception didn't come back on me. Those modifications, and
No pun
so
intended. Yeah.
so off we go. So I got the word, and the mom came from a very toxic environment. The father and mother that she came from were abusive to one another. The mother
Mm,
accused that husband of raping her, and they would physically be abusive with one another. So off we go now. Now I'm in a new venture. There's toxicity within that family. I'm now not learning, not intuitive that it's going to repeat itself. That's how
right.
psychological these pathologies occur.
Yeah.
And so, off we go. And I got the word I had broken up with her, and I got the word on the phone. Um, I'm pregnant, and I'm having this baby. And financial terms were not something that was willing to be at all. I mean, this is happening, and it felt in a way like extortion. I feel like there should be a criminal penalty for modifying someone's contraception.
Yeah.
I know that wouldn't get a lot of momentum
Versus the cash and prices they get today.
but
Yeah.
if you're gonna amend or modify someone's contraception to entrapment's a
Right.
crime. I know entrapment's a crime, so I don't know how we can't get to entrapment because I think that's what that is. Entrapment. That's a good
Right.
legal definition. So
Yeah.
off we go, and I said, well, I had kind of prayed on it, and I said, well, if this is what God wants, then I said, okay, well then let me make an honest woman out of you. I sat down with the mom and the dad, and
Wow.
they gave me their blessing, and I said, well, maybe this is a blessing. I'm 26 at this point. Maybe this is a blessing, and so I did the honorable and the right thing, and I made an honest woman out of her, and the baby was I don't know when you have a baby through marriage. I don't. It's an acceptable, or it's not an illegitimate child.
It's not illegitimate, right?
It's a legitimate child. So and off we go. And the question that everyone asks me in my case, why 7 kids? Why 7? Not one
7.
child. So
Wow.
we had, started that marriage journey, and off we went. And I guess I'll leave the contents of that marriage to myself.
Right.
But I always did the right thing by her, and I never did anything to fracture or compromise the 10 Commandments or any statutes that we would have. I just did right by her.
Right. Yeah.
And I can't say the same.
You stood up, as they say.
About I was a stand-up guy,
Yeah.
right? Doing the right thing.
Was it the guy that says you're not the father? What's his name? Maury Povich. You're going to stand
well,
up and take care of the kid. And,
Right.
So you
are you
you
the
did
dad?
what guys are supposed to do, which is stand up, accept your
Right.
responsibility, and do
Right.
what you got to do. So you married her, and then did it get better? Like when you got married? And again, if anything
so
gets weird, let me know, and we'll move from that line of questioning. But
yeah, I think there's a societal term that's accepted fundamentally and holistically. The honeymoon period. I think people are pretty comfortable saying the honeymoon phase is. I think initially I was already feeling like entrapment had started, and I was feeling like the mother and father already were like, "You're paying." Her mother and father already saw me as a meal ticket, already saw me as an earner.
Wow.
Already saw me as an earner, and it's sad because I used to play softball with her father, and even before I started dating her, it was like her father. I sat down with him, and it's like, "Man, I'd love if you dated my daughter." Had no idea the intentions of what the daughter was up to.
Wow.
And
so the entire family was in on it.
Well, I mean, she had attempted suicide before at a younger age, and she had a real abusive upbringing. They would call her fat and fat shame her, and they would restrict her diet as a child. They would restrict her diet. She actually attempted suicide, and she had a really tough upbringing, and so I was the way out of that abusive household. And I was that meal ticket, not just by her, by mom, by dad, by the sisters, by the brother. I mean, it's like he's going to save and get rid of this problem because they identified her as a problem.
So when you were getting, we'll just call them red flags. Is that a safe thing to say?
We only dated for about a month. I mean, it wasn't like it was a long courtship. I didn't even really get to know like anything really about her. I just getting to know her, having a good time, and that's what we talk about. I think in Sweden they have a pill. A male birth control pill.
Right. Yeah.
Take a pill. I mean, that's really the aside from drinking it, the hot sauce or taking a Swedish. I don't know if it's in Sweden, but I know they have a birth control pill for men. Really even contraception based. I mean, yeah. So yeah. I mean, I wasn't even like it was a whole. I mean, and I know you're supposed to, not no sex before marriage. I get that. You got me. I made a mistake. I used contraception, and you got me. I mean, wait a minute. I use contraception. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Right. So anyway.
So you're in your honeymoon period, I guess. After, well, you said you had 7 children. When did you start going? Oh, things are not going so well. A little wacky up front. Got married. Made an honest woman out of her. You got 1 to 7 kids.
She had said early on, if I ever left the marriage, that she was going to say I raped her. And
wow.
So she had right on in. I was like, one kid, this isn't gonna. She's like, if you ever leave me, I'm gonna tell people you raped me. And so she just told me straight up. Recording devices, I don't know. what liberty I'm in liberty, what I'm not in liberty to do.
Right.
New Hampshire, I didn't know if it was a 1 or 2 party state. I could have, but it, like I said, the trap it was set, and I
Yeah.
don't when you fur trap or when you hunt or I mean they had they was clenched.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, this is the person I'm destined to be with, and I try to see like, well, maybe this is I don't know, maybe this is what I'm destined to do. So I'm like, well, I wanted to have a big family, so I would just work multiple jobs. I started continuing to procreate, and well, this is my partner because I can't leave the marriage. I felt trapped. I felt like she threatened to kill herself every time. I'd say, hey,
wow.
I'm really having a hard time. I'm going to kill myself. Hey, I'm having a hard. I'm going to kill the baby. I'm going to now kill the child.
Wow.
And so all this stuff's going on, and I'm like, I'm like, who do I talk to? My father had passed away at this point.
Right.
My mother, I don't want to. In my childhood, she had done some things that, yeah,
not appropriate. Okay, fair enough.
She'd burn me.
Oh, okay. Well,
with cigarettes.
Okay, yeah, my mom tried to stab me, so we got something kind of else in common. Thankfully, I knew martial arts then. But wow, yeah, the perfect mommy dearest, isn't always, you can't, and that has impacts there. It's like that the whole thing with as a parent or when you have parents, and raise them right because otherwise they're gonna have trauma.
The worst is I still have the scars where she would
just
right here she would burn me like with her cigarettes. Like right here I'd have these are where my burn marks were, and she told me that I was a piece of shit and I should kill myself. So I had my dad that was always there for me, but my mom was I didn't have family I could count on, if that makes sense. As I'm going through this journey,
been there.
I've got me, myself, and I.
Right. Yep.
Not Irene like Jim Carrey. Not Irene like Jim Carrey.
Right. So when you're I don't know. So 1 through 7 kids. I don't know if this was like every 9 months. We can kind of assume, or
we're popping them out pretty.
Popping them out. Okay, and you're going along doing your thing. When did things go from this is getting kind of weird? Okay. You had your family out there and doing your thing. Is that? Did you have like a not a minivan, but was that like a party van on to the right of that? You're like, we're not getting a minivan. We're getting the full on.
The only way you could get on was you had to bring a character figure with you. So it was a Transformer day. We would bring your Transformer with the party. So they had to bring a Transformer or a different character, a Marvel character, or you have to bring something for entrance.
Okay. That's a great idea. I start doing.
So just to help you. So throughout my military time, I would continue to umpire, DJ, work multiple jobs, provide for the family. So, I mean, my time with her was pretty limited. I would have as much time as I could for my kids, but I'm getting stationed in different places. I'm at Hanscom Air Force Base, and then I'm on an assignment in New Mexico. I started a 7-year journey with the Air Force, worked with the F-22 Raptor, the MQ-1 and the 9, the Predator and the Reaper, and the Navy offered me a position in Virginia. And that's where shit really hit the fan. 2016 was my last assignment where we're off to the races at this point. So kids, the last child is conceived in Virginia, in Virginia Beach. The youngest is Keaton. And so the last child is conceived in Virginia, bought a house. And so now we have our 7 children, and now is where we're really having issues. So we're in I bought a house, a $500,000 house in Chesapeake, Virginia, and we're all living there. I've got the house completely redone, greatest schools. The kids are in the gifted program. They're honor roll students. They're getting letters from the local legislators that they're in their top 1%. Everyone's doing well, and I'm doing the best I can do. And mom was like, laid it on me. She's like, I'm not going to say you raped me, but I want a divorce. And I was like,
she did. Okay.
Yeah. So now here we are. We've entrapped. Then we've already made threats of false allegations.
Right.
Now we got the money. Now we get cash and prizes, because the more children you have, the more cash and prizes. And I didn't realize what mom was up to. Let me procreate as many kids as I can, so the money will just go. And as my career thrived, I then got promoted, and then I was making $115,000 a year, and mom wanted to cash out. Mom saw it, and she wanted to cash out. So the problem we had with that, if I may I?
Go. Oh, please.
So here we are now. We've got the problem. We've got all the stuff. She had actually fractured my eye socket. The domestic violence started again. She started that again. And this time she got me so bad, she broke in her hand. She called the police for breaking her hand, and I've got a broken eye socket. And she expected me to get arrested. I didn't get arrested. You broke my eye socket. Well, you broke my hand. I have my hands behind my back taking your abuse, and I've got welts all over my head, and now I have a busted eye socket, and there's not a scratch on you. And the police look at her, and they're like, you're calling us for fracturing his eye socket?
Wow.
And I'm sitting here, and so here I go, off we go, and now mom's got their first assault and battery arrest warrant. Off we go. So off we go now. Mom's got the warrant out. So, right. and just to tie that up, a few months later, the divorce decree was finalized. I said to her, I said, what are we doing here? You're not getting alimony. You're not going to extort me. And it was just, okay, I'm ready for this divorce decree. I'm done.
Yeah.
Said, okay, you waive alimony. I'll drop the assault and battery charges because I want this over. And it's actually in our divorce decree. And she waived, in the divorce decree, she waived child support, 50-50. And so we all know that could be amended, but you have to have a change of circumstance. Right. And so my mind was like,
yeah, you're thinking it's logical.
Circumstance, because I'm a good, fit, willing, and able parent.
Right.
So in there it says, no, once you waive alimony, that's it. You don't get a redo. So I'm like, all right, off we go.
There's no Title 40 funds.
No cash, no refunds, no prizes.
Right.
And it permanently waived any financial commitment between us.
Right.
I had offered to give her X amount of sum of money, which I did, and I complied with the terms and conditions of my of my responsibility.
Right.
So that takes us to 2019 of June, and I know this is painful for the audience, and if this is long stretched, I apologize. I'm trying to wrap this thing up into a bow the best I can, but it's messy. So off we go. So I thought about it like philosophically. I'm like, what can I do? I know the state's going to want to find a way to extort me. She's never worked. She's never had a single penny of income. So I buy a house. And I buy a house in another location. And I say, here is the 17-page agreement. And I paid cash for this house. We're post-divorced, post-marital separation. I said, here's your 17-page rental contract. You have a lifetime of $1 rent until the last kid's 18. I've bought in another place for you to live for free until the seventh child is 18. You can live for $1. That still wasn't enough cash and prizes for mom. Still, I paid the van, I paid for her to have a vehicle. This is post-divorce.
This is nice.
Post-divorce. So I'm thinking these cash and prizes.
You single?
I can make $115,000 and do what I do. You can kind of be quiet because you've already been arrested several times throughout this process. Right. And so I'm thinking that we have an amicable, somewhat of a hybrid situation. I said the house was needing a phenomenal amount of work. But I said, hey, you know what? I'll come out here on the weekends. I'll always occupy a room. And again, the 17 pages of rental agreement was very stringent on her criminal behavior. Right. No hitting, no assaulting. Then
you know your enemy. Gotcha.
So as a contracting officer for the United States government for 14 years, I wrote contracts for a living. So I understand terms and conditions and statutes and regulations. Right. And as a policy and compliance analyst, senior procurement analyst, I understand how statutes are followed and regulations and policies are written. So I'm thinking a family court is going to understand these are statutes, these are regulations, these are legally binding contracts.
Right.
Boy, was I in for a surprise. So here we go. So now she's in the new place. I personally feel like she should have gotten nothing. It should have been a fault marriage for assault and battery. Right. She should have been criminally charged, prosecuted, incarcerated. And then she says this.
Yeah, what did we learn?
I had gotten a phone call from a neighbor out in the new county where I live. Where I had moved them.
Right.
And you're like, all hell's breaking loose. So I left my job from a top secret clearance facility. I don't have access to a phone. And I'm like, I go on my lunch break and I'm like, I see all my phone going. I'm like, what is going on?
Right.
And I make the phone like, you need to get up here right now. She had broken the law again. she was shaking the baby again. And so one of the neighbors saw it and called me. I drove right up there. I don't mean to skip the part where she had multiple protective orders, but for her criminal behavior where we came from, she already had several protective orders already.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, she violated a protective order. Okay, the cash and prizes are over. You couldn't stay within the constraints of a very simple rental agreement. You live free of clear of me. I live free and clear of you, and don't hurt the kids and don't hurt me. I feel like that's pretty fair. And I charge you $1 a month. I mean, I feel like that's pretty fair. I don't think that's reasonable for a 4,000 square foot house that's got 2 stories and 2.5 acres. Anyway, so I go down there, and oh man, we go down there, and bam, out come law enforcement. Was phenomenal. They sent 3 cars. They actually, by the time the warrant got processed, they went at midnight. 3 cars swarmed, grabbed her, put her in handcuffs, violation of protective order, assault and battery on a minor, and she's like, "Yeah, I shook the baby. So what?" I'm like, "Oh, this is over. I'm gonna get my kids now.
My God.
It's done. Cash and prize is over. My relationship with the state. They're gonna see me as the custodial parent. They're gonna read. They're gonna be able to see black and white, top secret clearance with
a fairer world.
With someone with a top secret clearance, if I break the law, I lose my job. So I can't do. And so all that's going on, and then
you don't even speed. Yeah.
No,
keep it at 55 miles an hour.
We can't even have a bad debt, or we can lose our clearance.
Right.
Like I can't even not pay my credit card bill, or whatever. So long story short, they had. I need to be careful what I say next, but there were some resources within the community that she sought out that were very pro-mother friendly. That the state. Give me 1 second. My dogs are. Hey guys, can you just calm down a little bit? Sorry, my rescue dogs. They're having a wrestling.
They're excited. Yeah, they're excited. They're like,
excited.
Tell it again, Daddy. Tell it again.
So these resources are employed by the state of Virginia.
Yeah.
And so these resources explain to Mom some different creative Disney stories that we can create.
Right.
And they get the big rainbow, the Disney still comes up, and now within a week or two flat, I have warrants on my house.
Record. Yeah.
And I have affidavits to appear before court. I said, huh. Well, Mom got some help to how to tell a story. So we go to court. They've now muddied the waters. And why would I need an attorney? I have custody of my children. Mom's been arrested. She admitted to doing it. I've committed no crime, broken no law. I've had an upstanding career. I've got a spotless record. There's nothing to look at here.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the judge looked at the divorce decree. And then he looked at the situation. And he said, Mom, you want to explain? I had witnesses in there. Not even thinking anything of it.
Right.
Well, he hit the kid. Okay. What I have witnesses there. No, I didn't hit any of the kids. What are you talking about?
Right.
And so we had concocted this tale about me being an abusive monster. And the judge looked at it and he knew I made 6 figures and Mom made 0. And he said, okay, you see that
retirement fund.
You see that divorce decree you once knew? I see a reason to change the circumstance. I don't have a single shred of evidence, but I'm going to change the circumstance. And off they went. Removed me from my children that day. October 10th of 2019. Wow. Because she had admitted to shaking the child, had her witnesses and statements contradicted, and the judge said, what else? I don't have anything else. Ma'am, is there anything else he did to you? Leading the witness from the bench. Are you sure he didn't do anything else to you?
Wow.
Are you sure, Mom? No, he didn't do anything else. That's fine, Mom. We got enough here. And so off we went. And so the law and the statutes and the legally binding contract ripped in half, and off we go.
Wow.
And slowly but surely, I've peeled back. The court has overruled this decision at 4 different points. At the same juvenile court, a different judge had to overturn. At the circuit court, a judge had to overturn. A second circuit court had to overturn, and now we're up to the appellate. Everything's been overturned. With the part that was weird, the same day they took my kids away, they gave her this house. How can you give someone a postmarital separation agreement, a postmarital asset someone's been evicted from for failing to follow and comply with terms and conditions of that contract? I already had her evicted. Judge said, I don't care what that says. I'm giving her that house. Well, it's a postmarital asset.
Yeah.
You can't get. We did it anyway. Gave her the house anyway.
So that'd be like a judge telling my neighbor, hey, you know what? You can have my house.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
I mean,
what happened.
It's essentially the same.
Yeah, we were divorced in June, and in October he gives her a post-marital asset, which she does not have a name on a single thing.
Yeah, her name's
They
not.
gave her the
All you said
van.
was cash.
Yeah, they gave cash and prizes and awards and all these. And I mean, I think if he could have signed over the property to her, he would have.
Don't threaten him because he may.
So
Did you say what state this happened in?
Virginia.
In Virginia. So I think I have. Let's see. Where is? Oh boy, it shows how. Oh, here we go. All right. So I have the state breakdown here on the handy dandy pissed off parent website. So the way this is as of 2020, but the breakout here is fathers get priority custody 20% of the time, while mothers get 73.5% of the time is how that breaks out. So that for the folks that are on listening, going, oh no, that it's fair, it's equal, it's just like Matlock on TV. This is, and you can go to the site and see in your state how the breakout is in your particular state, and of course I have it nationally as well. But so in your state, in the state that happened in Virginia, you had a 20-73 split. How does that happen? And I think Chuck, you're living the experience here. Is that and as a bonus information, and again, if you read information there, is that a lot of times, and I don't know Virginia State specifically, but I'll assume it rolls with most of the other states, is with the Title 4D funds that the states get for child support and all the other fun stuff, those monies go back to the state to fund the judge's retirement plan. And hopefully I don't have to explain the rest of it to everybody on why the judge did what he did.
And again, mom has no income.
Right.
Just to repeat for the audience, mom's never worked in the 14 year or the 10 year
the entire time. Yeah.
10-year marriage. Never worked once.
Wow.
So there's no cash and prizes for the state if the correct parent gets the children.
Right. Yeah. That. Yeah.
So,
if it's 50-50,
right.
Little or no child support depending, then there's no Title 4D funds. Then there's no retirement funds for the state, the judge. There's no money. The cottage industry, they lose money. That's the reason why equal shared parenting usually doesn't pass. And it's only now in 5 states, and why child support is the way it is today. And you were a high income earner. They weren't going to get a penny out of her, but they could get a lot out of you.
And so here's where it gets crazy: is that I then look at opinions like Russell versus Matzik, and I take the time to research 60 years of appellate court rulings within my state.
In your spare time.
Yeah, and so I learned parents are constitutionally entitled to a hearing on their fitness before children are removed from their custody. And I learned that Stanley versus Illinois in 1972 set that precedent. And in Virginia, they had to cite that at the appellate court level. And, you learn in multiple different case rulings that I researched where discretion was abused. And where I believe abuse of power is if you threaten me with incarceration and medical records say I can't work, I believe that's abuse of power. I believe if you threaten someone with incarceration because they can't work, and here's where it gets crazy. So I followed his and complied with him going back to work, and I had a seizure. And so I got pulled out of work again. So he forced me out of where medical doctors are telling me I need to be home, not working. And he said, if you don't go to work, I'm putting you in jail. And that's why I had to contact my congressman. And my congressman said, why are you abusing this man? And then they all found out, wait a second, we didn't even ask why he can't work. Men just go to work and they'd be quiet and leave us alone. Right. He's got all these medical conditions from his ex-wife domestic violence that we didn't prosecute her for, because in my experience, women have immunity. And so during this whole process, we start this 4-year battle, and these last 4 years where we go to court and everything keeps getting overturned. The vehicle that she had got repossessed. The house I got back. Child support got turned into embezzlement and fraud, but we had to back out embezzlement because we can't shut the child support system down. Even though we know we have embezzlement, we can't put that on a court order because we know that would break up. That would break up the system. And you read that court order, so the 25 child support was turned into fraud. You actually read that. I mean,
yeah. Do you feel comfortable having it on screen?
You can put it up.
All right. Let's put that out there for the viewers here. Which slide it is? Do you remember which slide?
I believe it's slide. Hold on. It should be slide 4.
Okay, 4 and 5. All right, let's go to that one, and we'll just trying to be very protective of
It would
what
be
you
it
got
would be
going on
it
here.
would be slide 4.
I'm sorry, which one?
Slide 4.
Okay, yes, yeah, on slide 4 right now.
So that ended up being fraud, conversion, and unjust enrichment.
Yeah, so if you push that over there, if the viewers can see that.
Yeah, and you have $25,000 of a judgment for child support fraud, and that's never been done in Virginia, and that's one of the only cases in this country's history where child support's been turned into fraud. It's something I can't find anywhere else in the country.
Now, I don't know if you know Virginia. Do the judges have immunity or qualified immunity?
They do. In my particular case, I was able to find where a judge had overstepped his discretion and
Uh-huh.
overstepped. In this particular case, he had overstepped his jurisdiction. However, I
Mhm.
can't get any attorney to present that. And I also tried to file a Judicial Investigatory Review Commission complaint that was 68 pages.
Uh-huh.
No attorney would file it on my behalf because they have to practice in front of them multiple days a week. And when I filed it, they rejected it on a statute that was an incorrect reference. So I've also gone to the FBI and the Department of Justice for different federal violations of this abuse of power and the different statutes and federal law violations that have occurred in this case, and they continue to decline taking my case. And I have
Hmm.
case numbers. So then I've also contacted my local legislators, and they've actually met with me, and I've briefed them. And I also had Governor Youngkin himself out of the state of Virginia opened up a special investigatory commission review. The Department of the DSS Executive Commissioner. So the governor had to open up an inquiry at the request of a United States senator. So I have contacted every single legislator in my chain of
Legislative
command,
route.
all the way to Senator Kane, all the way to, and I've contacted everyone I can, and to include the Attorney General.
Wow. Have you heard of what we're trying to do here in Texas, the Texans for Judicial Accountability?
I
Have you heard
think it's
about that group?
I think it's fantastic. I think a lot of folks are spearheading some really innovative solutions. I think I might even have heard there was some things about time taken, time back, where children get the time back that if
Yep.
they were taken away. And then the judicial accountability was really interesting because I think they're trying to have a little bit more oversight over
Right.
what judges and gals are doing. And how can a gal make effective recommendations to the court when the caseload is what the size of that it is? And how can
Right.
judges make recommendations when there's prejudice, bias, and discriminatory preconceived assumptions? And I think they even written the law in Texas, one of the only states in the country, calls out men to pay. I think Texas is one of the few states in the country where it's cited men shall pay. And I think it's literally written in legislation. So the bias is real. The bias is very real.
Oh yeah. Well, when I pulled up here, and actually, it's like Jason yeah, commented, and Jason, you're welcome. Yes, I did put the website back up for now. Actually, it was an overwhelming. A lot of people reached out. I was actually shocked. I'll be honest. That is, for folks that want to learn more about this issue, get data, statistics, you can go to pissedoffparent.com, and I went ahead and put together. This is as of 2020 because this is off of the Census Bureau, which comes out every few years, and we all know how that goes. But painstakingly went through all 50 states and pulled in what the gender breakout is on custody. So every state that you go to, you can find out what the breakout is, and then you can also go down if you're looking for state specific resources. If I have them, I'm one guy and I'm barely still in. But you can go here and find very state specific resources and information if it's available. And of course, there's national info out there. But this stuff is very real. And the Texans for Judicial Accountability, kind of going back to that, there was a group, Jennifer Lundy started it, and I put the website in the chat. But you can see what that group is trying to do. They're trying to get accountability because right now the judges have full judicial immunity. And then what's funny is through this session that we just finished up, I've been paying very close attention to the laws that they're trying to pass. And most of our legislative session, or our legislator, they're all attorneys. And a lot of them are family court attorneys. Go figure. Well, they were trying to pass a bill, which was sailing on through, that would give judges, gals, you name it, full immunity. for anything that they said or did. It's well, hell, they were trying to pass a bill that if a woman tells a cop, their psychiatrist, whoever, that they're actively taking drugs while pregnant, that the cop, the whoever it is, does not have a duty to report that person. They actually try to submit a bill, or they submitted a bill that got voted on. You name it. It's just insane.
This is where it gets scary. And again, just to help the dads out there, they're already, if they're on your page or they're following your content, they're already off to a fantastic start.
Yeah.
Because you give a lot of phenomenal resources, and you have phenomenal. The one-man show that, you and your band of Transformers and superheroes.
Yeah, they come just like Toy Story. They come alive at night and do all the real work.
Just so I can just get this out there for all the parents. Reno versus Flores in 1993 says, the best interest of a child is not a legal standard. It does not allow the interest of a child to be subordinated by that interest. Now, if I know that 4 years ago and I cite that and I have a court reporter there, I'm in pretty good shape. And then if I go on to say Queen versus Walcott says, as a state, you cannot force the breakup of my fundamental right as a parent without showing me to be unfit. So I'm shutting down your best interest. They didn't know what to do in my case. So if I go to 1978 and Queen versus Walcott and cite that, then go to Reno versus Flores in 1993. In 2019, that case I cited for you, it hadn't been released yet. And I didn't know I needed to spend 60 years researching appellate law. And the problem is, all this and you present all this, and then they have immunity anyway.
They dismiss it.
So even if you have a court reporter, and if you cite the appropriate citations, and if you cite the appropriate case law that protects you from government overreach and infringement, they have immunity to do what they want to do anyway.
Right.
And I find it, and I will just say this for the viewers. After it was going back and forth with jail, and is he going to go to jail for not paying and all that, we walked out of court, and just to save the viewers, the long spiel, I was given a full award of 100% Social Security disability the day before my incarceration date. So they had to go back and say, uh-oh. The Social Security Administration read his paperwork. The congressman read his paperwork. As a court now, we are forced to recognize the Social Security is now saying that he cannot work. And what was crazy is we go to court, right? And she thinks I'm going to jail. Cash, prizes, awards, house. Now he's in jail. So now we also have him incarcerated. And guess what happened? We can't incarcerate this man today. What? So guess what happens? She goes outside of the courthouse and what do you call lying in wait when murders are committed? She lied in wait.
Premeditated, I think.
Lying in wait. Lying in wait is when you're about to commit murder, or you do commit murder, and you're lying, waiting to commit murder. And so instead of committing the actual murder, she said, I'm going to kill these fucking kids before you ever get them back. And I had the witness out there, had the sheriff out there. And so what happens? They take the kids away. I'm like, okay, so now we did something correct.
Yeah.
You want to take a guess when we went back to court? Now, again, now I've brought in a court reporter. Now I have an official transcript, an official record. All this evidence comes out. We're now before a judge. Guess what happened before we were able to do all that? Judge pulled everyone in chambers for 2 hours. They were in private chambers for 2 hours before this case was even heard. Then they come out of chambers. Then all the facts and evidence come out. And you know what the judge did? He gave the kids back to mom and said Dad caused her duress again. Dad's causing her duress to threaten to kill the kids. So they've had multiple decision points to fix this. And it's on a court record, a court transcript. And she said, I'll kill these fucking kids before you ever get them back.
See,
I got to ask where I'm missing something here. I've done everything legally right. I've got the witnesses. I've got the court report transcript. I've got all the reunification, assault and battery. I've got her committing assault and battery. We've got fraud. We've got embezzlement. We've got it all. We've got it all.
Right.
It's black and white. But we're going to cite best interest. And now for the audience, I just cited you Reno versus Flores and Queen versus Walcott. So best interest isn't applicable. And I found the statute within my state where best interest is not applicable. And it doesn't cut the mustard. So it's just like.
And for people that think that, Chuck's being over, like, oh, that'll never happen. Eric with Dad Talk Today submitted that mini docu-series. Glenn, oh boy, what's his last name? He was the one that, the wife was crazy. They did eventually say, we'll give the kid back to the dad. And the dad's like, hey, look, you need to do something now or they're going to kill the kid. And she ended up killing the kid and herself. Glenn Terry. I don't know if you get a chance, go to Dad Talk Today. It's on I'm positive it's on Subtac, maybe YouTube.
Okay.
If you get a chance, watch that. It's like a 10-minute. It's a great documentary. Dad Talk Today's coming out with some really good stuff. But that was one. Glenn Terry. I got a chance. I got to meet the down here in Texas when we were talking with some another situation with David Henderson and his son. That whole thing. But he talks about what happened, and that's what happened.
Yeah. And it's just tough because Eric's done a lot of work going to just different funerals for people that have lost their children, and in addition to all the advocacy work that he does, and to you and Robert and a multitude of people. I mean, we're trying to get the word out, trying to spread the message, and I mean, we're fighting government overreach, and we got the Neo Matrix up there, and it makes sense. It just how when is the overreach going to stop? Because if I have a top secret clearance and I can get my eye socket fractured and be found 100% disabled, how is that a best interest for a child to watch their dad get their eye socket fractured, watch them get punched in the face, experience multiple trauma, experience multiple assaults and batteries at the behest of the custodial parent? Where are they the best interest at that point? It's woefully inept, and it just doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, then we got an issue. And how many custodial interferences can we have? How many reunification therapists can we go through? And how many? And I just want to let you guys know, of the 109 reunification sessions, I've met with my kids only 8 times and only seen them once. So I show up, no kids. Show up, 98 of the 109 sessions, no show kids.
Can I do a quick spin of that Excel spreadsheet?
Oh yeah, you scroll right through.
Here. So just
if people don't think I'm making this stuff up.
This is. He gives this to me, and I'm going, oh my god! This is the level of detail.
You have police reports. You have different therapists.
Mm-hmm.
You have different gals. You have different forensic psychologists. You have clinical psychologists. You have reunification therapists. You have isn't there? How many items are on that spreadsheet? It's like 600. You have
734.
Now those go on to 2024 because I have mindset coaching sessions. But the professionals, if you go through the current date, you have over 600 or 700 entries.
Yeah.
If you go up to 2023, the current date is in July. Go up to July if you don't mind.
Let's see.
So July 2nd. No, you have it. You have it. Yeah, right there. Stop.
Right there.
Stop. So 630 interventions, 630 court interventions for me to facilitate a relationship with my children.
Be a dad.
That's just the court. That's not through other stuff I'm doing.
Right.
That's a problem. That's a problem. Do you agree?
This is, a really well documented, and it's ridiculous. To have.
If you scroll up, Dwayne, scroll all the way up to the top. If you don't mind, sir.
There we go.
That's where all the things that this is off we go. All this stuff's happening. All off we go with what's happening during the, just the different assault and batteries, the different threats, allegations, protective orders, all the different things. I've had to take my kids to the ER. Due to mom's abuse. All that stuff is documented, and it's chronologically connected to a hyperlink. So if you clicked on something, it would bring you to the actual document of a police report, of a report from the Navy. I had to go to NCIS because she wanted my girls to say that I molested them, and they wouldn't, so she would beat them over the head because they wouldn't say I molested them. It's a bad case. This is a bad case. And how do we get best interest for a dad to have 630 interventions? And we're still going.
Right, yeah, you're not done yet.
Going.
My finger's getting tired just scrolling.
Yeah, I'll stop. But you see all these people, and a lot of these are professionals, they're doctors, they're clinicians, and these are some of the top experts in the state.
And you're paying for all this, I'm assuming.
Of course.
Oh, okay. There's not some free clinic or whatever, no.
So I kind of make the argument that if this was caused by, and again, I just want to read Griswold versus Connecticut in 1965 said, I don't know if it's going to pop right up on my phone, but Griswold versus Connecticut essentially said, if the state infringes on your fundamental right of being a parent, they are civilly liable.
Right.
I believe Griswold versus Connecticut in 1965 was able to sue Connecticut and got an award. I believe if a state is liable, that they should be sued.
Yeah.
You are infringing on my fundamental, and again, Dwayne, no one said I'm not fit, willing, and able. And you want to know the real thing that I thought was fascinating? I registered to be a foster parent in my state. So I'm fit, willing, and able to foster children in Virginia.
For Title IV funds.
But I can't care for my own. No, we got a problem here.
Right.
You're fit or you're not fit.
Right.
So if you're fit, willing, and able to foster, where are you not fit, willing, and able to raise your own?
That there's only unfortunately a few other areas we can go into to try to make change. One is, of course, getting the word out, getting awareness, changing the the way people think about these topics, and hearing a lot of these stories. I don't know if you know, but on the Texas Judicial Accountability, Jennifer Lundy used to be a court reporter, and that's how she got into this. She was seeing stuff that just did not add up, and she's like, something's got to be done. Yeah, so she's like, we got to do it. So it's one of those, well, in your state, I mean, has anyone started something like that? Have you thought about doing that?
So I know the National Parents Organization
NPO
does, and I know that Sean Pearson is my guy from a mindset coach standpoint. I'm so deep into my case that just what Robert Garza's been able to do after he overcame just all those 43 false allegations, and watching the work you're doing as an advocate, I gotta tell you, I'm so biased because I'm so deep in my case and I'm so like locked into everything going on.
Right.
I wish I could do more.
Yeah. Oh.
But giving up food in my community, and I know the toll of the psychological toll this takes.
Yeah.
Many days I struggle. I will tell you guys, as a really neat thing. One of my experts in my case was like, man, you need to go get an animal. And it just for the dads out there, please heed to this advice. I know what you guys are going through. I know what you guys are experiencing. I want you guys to hear me, dads. 1,364 days, one in-person visit. And I just want to show you that I went to the local shelter, in a high kill shelter, and I got these wonderful pets. And they're fully trained service animals, and they're emotional support. And right now, she knows how upset I am, and my lab is sitting right here, and her name is Ryder. Say hi, Ryder. Hi, Ryder. So she's just a little scared. She likes to come up and say hi. Say hi to the audience.
Is that a Chihuahua?
So she just loves her dad.
About 5 pounds. About 5 pounds, like a little Chihuahua.
We're gonna make out. We're gonna make out now. No shit.
Let's turn the lights down low.
Take out your transformer.
Yeah.
No. So all joking aside, like for dads struggling, man, maybe go look at an animal. And I know money-wise, you may not have the resources. Go to your local shelter.
Yeah.
It's going to save your life. It saved my life. And I'm not joking.
Well, I was going to ask.
It saved my life. It saved my life.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, I mean, again, you are obviously very deep in your case, and the emotional toll, and you still make time to help out in the community. I was going to ask you, like, what are the things that you do? I mean, you volunteer your time, food, you're in the community, I'm sure you're having those conversations out in the community. Like, what are some of the things? And then that would be also advice for other people that are going through it. Sounds like.
So, guys, I'm in therapy 3 days a week. I don't know if you guys are aware of the different therapeutic interventions that are available. A lot of us, and I'm not calling out you guys, dads, in a bad way. We want to reject the help because we say we didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
The more we accept the help, the more clinicians that are evaluating us. And if we get the appropriate clinicians and you do your due diligence and you research the providers that you seek out, they're going to help. And it's another person that can advocate to the court and say, this guy's okay.
Yeah.
And then they'll work with you during that process. So there's something called EMDR,
okay,
where it's eye movement desensitization reprocessing, where you reprocess your mind to eradicate those traumatic events and to help you get a clearer vision to remove yourself from that trauma. And I'll tell you guys, I couldn't hold a butcher knife for a good 2 years. That was what I was sliced open on my leg. And if you'd like to show slide 11, that's where I was strangled and sliced open. You're welcome to show slide 11. I don't know if you can scroll over, but on the right, it's where she cut me open with a butcher knife. and she got right down to the flesh. So she had beaten my kid over the face. So it gave him a good scratch mark. I mean, she had nails, so she'd claw him, and yeah. So and then on the far left, you'll see where I was choked out. And then if you want to go up one, the typical. This is what guys face all the time. If you go to slide 10, then go, and if you can slide over, if you're able to slide over, and you'll see, Dad's a rapist. Oh, now, no, he's not. Well, am I a rapist or am I not? And I know I'm not a rapist. I would never do that to a woman, ever. So the typical narcissist will go on there and gaslight and say all these things.
Oh.
Wait a second. So you're going to, now, just so you know, the Secret Service investigated this. This is what they call wire fraud. Because when you take money from other states and it's through via a social platform, you've now committed wire fraud. You think we're going to prosecute that? No, we don't prosecute women. They have immunity.
Right. Yeah, it's a very rare day.
I just wanted the guys to actually see that they're not the only ones going through this stuff. And now, just so you know, these allegations that she made for rape, I was pulled off the Navy base for a month while they investigated this. I got pulled off my workforce for my job. How embarrassing is that? I'm escorted off the base from Naval NCIS because of this allegation.
So when she said, "I'm sorry for filing fake grape allegations against you," that didn't cover it. It didn't make everything go away.
I asked the prosecutor. We've got 4 felony perjury, false allegations, and they allowed her to recant her statement. And so she withdrew her report, and they told her, "Don't ever come back here again." And they decided they elected not to prosecute and charge her.
So that's what we like to call in the business a slap on the hand. Is that?
It wasn't even a slap on the hand. It was a ticket to go get cash and prizes. It was another golden ticket to say, here's another ticket to give you a chance to get cash and prizes.
Wow.
I mean, but let me just ask you, you've never really you've dug in with me through the last year or two, but when you actually see this,
the pictures,
you actually read this, because you've heard me on Dad Talk, you've heard me with Eric, I've given my stories, but when you actually see the level of destruction someone can go through, how does that affect, like, just as an advocate doing what you do, like, and it's black and white, how does that affect your in your psyche in a way? Like, does it fracture like what would be a reality? Our reality is not reality.
The thing is I see this a lot. Unfortunately, I mean, we all know Robert's situation, what he went through.
43. He had 43, right? 43.
I want to say it was in the 70s, but again,
oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Hopefully, Robert's on can correct one of us. I could have swore it was in the 70s, but it was one too many. Because I mean, Robert, a guy would never hurt a fly. I mean, there's no way. He's too nice. Yeah, Robert is too nice of a guy.
You don't get a family like that being a monster.
Oh, yeah.
The second family he's blessed with, thankfully.
Yeah.
He got to get another chance at love, and good for him. He deserves it.
He definitely deserves it. Yeah, great guy. But yeah, he had 40, 50, whatever that number was that he had to then spend something like 700. I mean, just the whole thing was nuts. But unfortunately, what's sad is that his story has now become common. Your story has become common, which is ridiculous.
I will say you had a problem with this on Dad Talk when I left this voicemail. When she offered someone money to kill me, you had a problem with that one. When she when I had told you how when we're going through this process and she's asking someone offering money to kill me, and they laughed me out of the station. That's not, and now that's becoming common.
Becoming common. Yeah.
And that's what are we doing? It's unbelievable. I'm not talking about the advocacy work we're doing in platforms.
Right.
As a society, are we really accepting this is what we accept? Like, if you're a woman out there, are you okay with your sex acting like this for cash and prizes? I mean, honestly, where are your ethics?
I bring up that thing where they ask the same women, is it ever permissible to cheat on for a man to cheat on a woman? 80% said no. But when they asked the same women, is it ever permissible for a woman to cheat on a man? That number went down to 40%.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to, they're the ethics, people in general, but with women, and they should be ashamed, but they will find I mean, I shouldn't say the word funny. Hopefully you take it for the way I'm presenting. But when she's saying stuff, emotional, verbal, and recently sexual abuse, it's almost like when they go to these grape shelters, they hand them. This is what you say, because I had the same thing happen to me.
Did
they
you?
Oh yeah, mine. Oh, my,
It's the first time.
yeah. So my ex-wife, she took 3 bites at the apple trying to get out. I was one of those idiots that was, lifelong marriage, blah blah blah. I was an idiot back then, and she was like, "I've got to figure out a way to get away from him and get all of his money." That was, I mean, that probably sounds somewhat familiar. So she went to the grape shelter there, and they of course said, "Okay, well we can do this, and all you gotta do is allege this and do this and do this." And she's like, "Well, I need money for like an apartment." Well, you need to do it this way, and then you'll get the house, blah 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 blah. So I get a phone call telling me my kids have been pulled out of their classrooms by an agent. This was all newish to me. I knew things were getting bad, but I didn't realize just how bad. And they pulled the kids out and sat them down in a separate room and asked them very specific questions, as, do I have weapons? Do I do this? Have I ever hit them? I've ever hit, and they're, of course, they're like, no, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Dad's awesome, the typical stuff there. And
Iceman
anyway.
wants to say hi too.
Yeah, he's like, I want to be part of this thing.
They were doing all these bites at the apple. They're coaching your ex-wife. They're
Yeah.
telling her to do all these things. And you said the final straw was what happened?
After her second attempt, and then I went ahead and said, dumb mistake either time, but I said, you know what? I want to make the marriage work. Because each time she was trying it, she was getting more bolder, and it's like a velociraptor attacking the fence. That's how she was like, all right, I'm trying it this way. Oh, that didn't work. That doesn't get me everything I want.
The venom was getting fiercer.
Right, and she was like, okay, I need to try this. So then it was, mine was, I want to say, an easier one, because I was documenting. I had audio recordings, and I was doing my homework. I had followed the list almost to the letter on the website.
Right.
And anyway, so when that happened, she of course swore she had no idea it happened. She, all blah 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 blah. And then I checked some phone records. Turned out she was the one that called, got her to finally admit that. And after 3 months they dropped the case because there was, again, I may look I'm harmless. I mean, I've never harmed my children. I've never touched my ex-wife.
You're such a monster. You're such a monster.
I know I'm a horrible individual. But yeah, she took her shot at it. Thankfully, I had evidence and data, recordings and all that I was like, let's go. But I told her after the second time, I was like, if you file again, I don't give a crap what happens. We're riding this train out. And she did. She took her third shot at the apple.
That's what got scary for me. Like when I went in there with my documents, like you said you have, judge said, he threatened me with contempt. He said, if you say another word, I'm going to incarcerate you. And he pointed out the jail. And I said, Judge, you're not reading. And he said, you can use those medical records to wipe your ass with. And he actually said in a courtroom, I could use my medical records to wipe my ass with it.
Is it on the record?
I didn't have a court reporter in there, unfortunately.
Of course. And that's why getting cameras in the courtroom is so important, because.
And James Kelly does a whole thing on Facebook on that, I think.
Yeah, he does it.
Calls, cameras in the courtroom. And then I'm so sorry that you encountered this too, so that maybe it was your door into finding out this cash and prizes scheme.
It was, well, mine was, honestly, it was the first time I walked into court. I already had records and data, but I believed my attorney. I went in, and I'm thinking Matlock. Actually, that cartoon, that one of the first cartoons I ever made, was pretty much my story, without saying names and what happened. But I went there, I'm assuming that they're going to weigh the evidence, it makes sense, and here we go. Right. And what happened was I was kicked out of my own home that I bought and paid for. I had to do all these things happen, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And then, of course, everything else, the typical stuff that happens to everybody. But I started doing my research, and then I started figuring out that my attorney, her attorney, and the judge were all in league together.
Not to mention that we learn, and just for the guys out there that don't know this, their first commitment is to the bar. Your second commitment is to the court, and your last as the client. So, it's a court or bar, one of the two. And yeah, it's a sad reality. I mean, you learn all this after the fact. You learn about court reporters. You learn about preserving your records. You learn about appealing. And then what they're charging now to even have a court reporter in there, it's so astronomical, and it's laughable.
I'm in the wrong business. Yeah.
It's sad, but yeah, and I'm so sorry that happened to you, man. I'm just learning some of the stuff now. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
well, it's yeah, and I've been in it for about 10 years, and then it's just, and when I started trying to figure stuff out, there was really no information out there, so that was actually how Pissed Off Parent happened. I'm like, I've got to find a place to catalog all this information that I'm collecting.
Because you're such a monster that they made you out to be, that you're just pissed off because you want a relationship with your children that you never harmed.
Right.
Well, you must really be a monster. No.
And, oh, well, when I went in front of the judge and she asked me about parenting or whatever, I said, well, or what a mom and dad is. I said, a dad's primary job is to raise his boys to be good men that are going to find a good woman and get married. And a dad's job for his daughter is to show her the kind of man that she should marry. And then the reverse for a daughter. And she laughed. I mean, she physically laughed at me. I knew at that moment that I was in trouble.
Right. I did just want to take time to we were talking a little bit earlier, and I wanted to be encouraging. So I get doom and gloom sometimes, and I'm sorry about that, guys, but I did want to acknowledge that I have an extremely competent attorney. It took me 3 times to find the right one. I have an extremely competent reunification therapist. I am an extremely competent EMDR therapist, and I work with Sean Pearson in mindset coaching. And I have a plethora of resources from people like you that will take a message or two once a year. Not that you're not available, but you are busy. You have a limited bandwidth. And, if people learn it and give you guys a top 5 for dads out there that are going through some of this stuff. Guys, I'm not joking when I tell you self-care. I'll share with you guys this embarrassing. My depression got so bad I was getting bed sores. And you've got to get in the shower once a day, once every other day at a minimum. And you've got to exercise, and that pet will help you get out of your rut. I also want to see you guys involve yourself in the community. Do something. Knock on a door. I don't care if the lady's 90. Knock on her door. Ma'am, do you need something?
Mow a lawn.
There. Yes. Cut the grass. Get the mail for her.
We're doers. Guys are doers.
Also, they have things, a lot of charitable different groups like Ruridan Club and golf memberships. One thing I will not advise you guys to do. Yes, Ruridan Club. I'm a member of my city as well.
Yeah.
Do not join your local judges organization that's volunteering. They did not find that amusing. I thought that would be appropriate, and they told me that would not be appropriate. Since he has a family and I have a family, maybe I could break bread with him volunteering, since we're good people, and he clearly has a life and a family. Well, I have a life and a family. Oh wait, he took my family away. So don't do that, guys. Don't do that. Don't. Right. And I would just say that find a coach, guys. And I know this is going to sound difficult. Find a family member, but I would really say find a coach. I know we're limited in resources. Get therapy. Get the help. I'm not beating you guys up with this. You think I want to go to therapy? You think I want to show up every Thursday for reunification knowing my kids aren't going to show up? I've done it 109 times, and they've shown up 8 or 9, and I've only seen them in person once. But the numbers are there. That is you showing up for your kids. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're not showing up. And I love you guys, and I don't know if any of this is getting through to any of you guys. You want to be there for your children. Take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, how can that bridge to your children be built again?
Right.
So, all right, I didn't mean to get...
self-care is important. I mean, people, they're giving themselves to everything else, but they have nothing left in the tank for themselves. You've got to take, I mean, when something happens to the plane, everyone's like, oh, you should give the mask to the kid first. No, put the mask on yourself first so you can take care of business. That's the process. It's take care of yourself and then get right mentally, and exercising does it, helping out, giving to other people. And, I know, resources aren't they're expensive.
They're not free.
They're not free. Now, Dad Talk today, I don't know of others, and if there's others, I think on the website I had links to other people, but Dad Talk today I know has a support group. It's 100% free. Join up, answer the questions that you're going to be a good person, and ask away.
You might even find someone within your state, and then even your church. So a lot of what I will tell you guys is this. Sometimes you guys are alienated from your church because of the allegations. Yep. Find a new church. Find a new church to go on Sunday and worship the Lord. Because
Yeah.
I'm not saying that whether the pastor is or isn't your type, being involved with people that are Christians is not usually going to hurt you. I'm not talking the extreme Christian stuff we see on the cult stuff. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
That's not Christianity. That is
Right.
cult. But just find a church, find a place where you feel welcome. And it may not be the church you once were at. Don't just completely give up on. You need to hear the message of the Lord. You need to believe in yourself. And whether you're denominational, non-denominational, just maybe going around, being around people that are just celebrating life, celebrating
Right.
what blessings that we do have. Because regardless of what you're going through, you still are breathing air. And it may be
Yep.
difficult. It may be smog. It may be foggy. It may be raining, hailing, sleet. I was facing jail, guys, every day for 2.5 years. And I sucked it up every day, and I got through it. And if
Yeah.
I can do it, you can do it. And if you can do it, there are people out there that are here to help you. I'm not going to put all my stuff out there, but if you go on Facebook and you type in Family for Eternity, I have 15 followers. Oh, that's fine. I might have 16 after this. I might lose a couple.
Family for Eternity with it's a number 4.
Cool. And it's advocacy work.
Is
Not a
it
single penny.
.com or .org?
Family space for space eternity.
Oh,
It's just
space.
yeah, it's just on Facebook. Just a Facebook.
Oh, it's on Facebook. Okay. Family for. Let me just put
And I
that
do
out
not
there.
collect a single penny. I don't collect a single penny. And I'm not a lawyer, and this isn't legal advice.
Right. Well, a lot of times it's having someone that that you can listen to, or that will that you can listen to, that you can tell your story, and get that out. It's therapy. It helps out and gets you to that next day. I mean, I know Dad Talk has stuff. I know Dad got Dwayne's group out in California. Dad Surviving Divorce. That's another one. There's different organizations, but find a church, find a group, get involved in other things, have some downtime, exercise. That's a big one.
Big deal. It's a big deal. Exercise.
Mhm.
I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you, Dwayne. I'm not. Exercise is huge.
Oh,
I
yeah.
believed up to. I must have put on 50, 60 pounds with going through all this, and now I'm back down at a reasonable weight. But
So I went on the divorce diet. I lost like 60 pounds in a month and a half. Yeah.
But were you more appealing to your previous cash and prize winner when you lost the weight? Were you more appealing, or only after you got the money? They got the money.
She was all about the money. It had nothing. No matter what I said or did, I was ugly, fat. I was.
Did you see the meme? Did you see the meme where it said, "My ex-wife doesn't want to marry me again because of my money"?
Yeah, because I'm in for the money. Yeah, she figured I was in for the money. Yeah. My ex-wife, she hated everything about me. I was disgusting. Right. I was fat. I was stupid. I was, you name it. In my divorce diet was like a month and a half of I just didn't eat. I mean, I was just churning the entire time.
Sorry you went through that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, some people gain weight. I went the opposite direction. I was actually nice and thin, but now I'm plumping up. We're joking this morning on the Jimmy Show about how I put away. Well, there's an argument between my current wife and I. Was it 10 or 11 donuts? I'm holding to 10 donuts that I ate yesterday in one sitting. She says I ate 11. We're gonna respectfully disagree on the 10 or 11 donuts that I ate. It's one of those things.
Just to list them out, I would, if you're looking for a mindset coach, I would definitely say Sean Pearson. If you're looking for someone that's in the legislative space, I would think Mark Ludwig or even maybe Robert Garza. If you're looking for someone to lead you in the right direction, I would say Dwayne or Rob Garza. If you're looking for a place to outlet some of what you're going through, I would check with Dad Talk Today. And if you're looking for stories, regardless of my feelings of some of the membership adjustments that have happened recently, and social media platform changes that were made from people that host or did a lot of great work, I would maybe say Father's Rights Movement. I would advocate for those different groups, but find an outlet, because the social media can be poison. And I think Viktor Frankl has a book. What's his book? He was a Holocaust survivor, and it talks about running into the wire, where he could have killed himself at any point in time, and he refused to run into the wire. Social media can be poison, so just make sure we're using it for good. We don't make threats. We don't do that because that's what they want. They want to get rid of you. They want to cancel you. and they want cash and prizes. So I'm amazed you gave me an hour today. I mean, I'm here for anything else you get for me. I just really want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to just, I guess, talk to an audience, to just let them know they're not alone. And I don't know how many cases you get like mine, Dwayne, where one in-person visit in 4 years and dad's done everything correctly. And I'm not being grandiose, and I'm not being, I'm not showing, like, what do you do when you do everything correctly and you get one in-person visit? How do you, like, when you hear about my case, and I know you hear a lot of this stuff, but when dad did everything correctly and he's still being abused and judicial abuse and overreach and got, like, you got any suggestions for me? Because I got all the therapists, all the doctors, all the reunification clinical psychologists, the forensic psychologists. I have all these people in place, and they're like, hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. And they're like, you're doing everything correctly.
Right.
So I don't know what else to do.
I mean, I don't know if you can get a different judge, have him recuse himself, but that opens up a whole other can of worms because these judges think they're gods.
And that's the step we're in, thank God. We finally have removed the judge.
Oh, okay.
So we're waiting on a trial in the appeals court for custody. Everything else has been overturned except for custody. And my lawyer hasn't lost, knock on wood. This lawyer has not lost in the 2.5 years I've been with him. He hasn't put up an L yet. So when he brings me in, usually, not to jinx it, but we don't, no more of those. I don't get those. So I'm grateful for him.
It sounds like hang in there. I mean, it sounds like you're in the end zone, using the football metaphor that you're getting. Yeah, you're getting there, and you're a testament to what can happen when a dad perseveres. Yeah. You ate a mile of crap. Well, a couple years worth of crap, and
on the spreadsheet 630 entries.
That's a overwhelming number. I guess, kind of to close out, I mean, one day soon you're going to get to see your kids. If they're watching this, what would you want to tell them?
I would say to Arthur, Kaylee, Aubrey, CJ, Landon, Kennedy, and Keaton that when I saw you guys in March, it was awesome. And they smiled when they saw me, and I love you guys too. And I know that you're limited and you're not able to talk under the behest of the reign of terror you guys experience on a day-to-day basis, but your father opened up a bed and breakfast for the last 3 years so everybody could tell him what's wrong with his house. And I've been making modifications to this house for 3 years, and I'm really proud of it. And I can't wait for you guys to see some of the things I've built for you. And I'm proud of you all. And if you don't like something, I'll fix it. But I think you like what I built you. And Dad's trying real hard here. And I never stop loving you. And I'll never quit on you guys. I'm never going to quit on you guys.
They know. You guys will all be together here. It sounds like pretty soon when that appeals case is done. I got a year of food for you guys, too. I got a year of canned goods, and I got a year worth of freezer meats. And they're not going to go bad. And if they go bad, we'll get another year's worth. And I didn't build 7 beds. I built 14 beds. And I didn't build a little 30-day stash. You have a year stash. I didn't get one 15-passenger van. We got 2 15-passenger vans. So Dad's trying to keep DSS out of our lives and our business. And I'll tell you guys, I have been thinking of every little thing to keep these people out of our lives. And I'm trying, guys. What else do they want from me? Safety gates, safety mechanisms. Beds are bolted, mattresses, double beds, double cars, food for a year. I don't know what else I can. Cameras are in the house, guys. I think I told you that. Full surveillance system is in the house. I listen to my law enforcement. I support what they want me to do. I don't break the law. I have 2 awesome animals you guys are gonna love. And guys, I will tell you guys this. I was gonna get you guys clothes, but they said budget that aside, so you guys will pick out your whole new wardrobe. And that was sad, Dwayne, when I saw him for the first time in March. Ripped jeans, ripped clothes, no sweatshirts, no nothing. I was like, I just wanted to take them to the store and put shoes on them. Take care of them now.
With holes in their socks. I'm like, how in the world? It just blows my mind. I would jump through a wall. I mean, I would get hit by a car to get 5 minutes with any of them. And they're not allowed to speak, or they are threatened with physical violence if they speak. And it's scary. Yeah, I mean, Dr. Blodkey, and I'm not to say this, but he's one of the top He's one of the top forensic psychologists. I mean, he's authored several places. He said when the kids were punched in the face, the custody should have been reversed right there. I mean, that's not even a question. But
the gender's been reversed. Yeah.
Well, we can't do that because then we have accountability. Now we have liability. Can we acknowledge that in this case there's a lot of liability that is.
Yeah. There needs to be people that pay for what happened, and hopefully one day they'll pay. The big thing is, hopefully when this appellate case is over, you'll get your kids. That all will occur, and won't be any issues, and you guys can start a new chapter in your life. That's the big thing.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, and Dwayne, I just want to leave you with this. The work you do is really special, and when you took a break, our hearts are always with the people that do this advocacy work. And when Eric takes a break, and when you take a break, you're not taking a break. You're putting yourself in a psychological state that can get you back in the game. And you are, but really you're just getting yourself, you're tackling fuel. You're getting, I don't know what the transformer line is whenever they get ready to assemble. I don't know if it's assemble, unite. I don't know what that
Autobots, roll out.
Autobots, like dad advocates, roll out. And we got Pissed Off Parent and Dad Talk support group. And the one out of California, and Father's Rights, and find a group, and we just need to be one as a unit. We all need to come together somehow and be one united force. So thank you for everything you're doing for us. I always read your content. You put out amazing stuff. You're not a mercenary. You're here to give back. God bless you for taking some time tonight. And if there's any single dad out there, your life is worth it, and your children love you. I've seen them once in 4 years. They love you guys. And dads, hang tough. Because if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, I said it perfectly. The only thing I can really say is that, for the other dads and parents out there, but, really speaking to the dads, that you got a dad right here. This is what you should be, the attitude you should have, the fierceness you should have to be a dad. That's what they need to look to you as the role model, as to what a dad should be.
Lay down your sword and pray. I never wanted to lay down my sword, guys. You have to lay it down or you won't be successful.
Yeah.
You have to lay down your sword. I'm not saying give in. I'm not saying bend over. Lay that sword down and come up with a new game plan. Yep. Because your plan of I didn't do anything, we know that it's not going to be successful. You have to have a new game plan and lay your sword down and go at it with, I want to have a relationship with my children. Ask for one night a month. Just have a start to that journey. Yeah. They're not just going to give it all back to you at once. And that's hard for dads to understand.
Yeah, that's just unfortunately today the way it is. Get out there, like, share, subscribe, all the different groups out there. Let these people know we're not going away.
And Ryder and Iceman are going to say goodbye to you guys. Come on, guys. Come here, Ice. I'm trying. Come here, Ice. I don't think he wants to come, but he's going to say goodbye. Iceman says goodbye. Say bye. Ryder, come here. Come here, Ryder. Ryder's going to say goodbye to the audience and the lab. Ryder, say goodbye.
Bye. All right. Pissed Off Parent. Signing off.
God bless you.
bear the cost.
You got the touch. You got the power.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.